Happy Friday, everybody! Today's June 20th, and we've got the top three science fiction and fantasy books for you to read this weekend, like we do every single Friday, because that's when the team here at MetaStellar reads the first few chapters of each of the top five free fantasy and sci fi books on Amazon. Yes, Amazon has a bestseller list just for free sci fi and fantasy books. It's really cool. Link in the description box down below. Today's list includes a cyberpunk detective, an aqueduct engineer in a magic world, and dystopian hellhounds. But before we get to all that, hi everybody! Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. Today, Terrence Smith, Alex KOROLOV, and E.S. Foster contributed to the reviews, and Emma is here with us today. Hi, Emma.
Hi.
All right. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this kind of content, because we do this every Friday. You don't want to miss all these free books. And we also have a newsletter you can subscribe to, a link down below. And let's get into the books. We're going to start with book number 5, and then we're going to count down to book number 1, starting with this one. Let me make that a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. If I can find that little zoom button. Here we go. This is The Tinker and the Witch by G.J. Daly, the first of two books in the Tinker's Journey cozy fantasy series. The other book is $6 and it is in Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited is where you pay $12 a month and you read all the books you want that are in Kindle Unlimited. It's a good deal if you don't mind being part of the Amazon hegemony and you read a lot of books. All right, so I read this one because I am now in love with cozy fantasies. Last week, I read The Glorious and Epic Tale of Lady Isawar for you guys. And after I got done filming, I finished the whole thing. And then I pulled up the author name on Amazon and I read every single other fantasy book he's written. And now I'm out. Okay. So I grabbed this book when it came up on the list. Because, sometimes you just want to read a nice book about a magical world with mostly good people, no impending wars or climate crises or microplastics or any kind of like big, horrible real world issues. And cozy fantasies are perfect. Just some friendly innkeepers, hearty food, and a little magic. Okay, so this book opens with an old woman looking out of the window of a cracked and leaning cottage deep in the forest. She's having a mystical vision, and we don't find out what she sees, and she herself forgets it anyway. She makes herself some tea, sits down by the fire, very cute and cozy. We get lots of detail about the tea that she makes. In the next chapter, we meet Andrew. He's a tinker's son, and he and his dog live in a cabin in a swamp. He's 17. He's human. His father is not. And in fact, he's the only human he knows of. He's heard of human villages over the mountains, but he's never met another human before. So he and his father have some tea, and then Andrew heads off into town for supplies since they're running low on everything, and he promises his dad to be back by nightfall. He gets his horse, his tinker's cart, he heads off to town, and the next chapter, we're back with the old woman. She's delivering a baby because, as we learned in the previous couple of chapters back, she is a midwife. Then we go back to Andrew, who arrives in town, which is full of magical creatures, including minotaurs. And he arrived just in time for a festival, so he's having a lot of fun. He sells 3 deer pelts. He sells a cool sharpening stone. He buys provisions. We get some very appetizing descriptions of the food he gets and the drinks he drinks, and he sharpens knives for residents and he mends pots, and we learn a lot about how he mends pots. So, like I said, cozy fantasy. And then he hears people talking about a woman who steals the souls of babies that she delivers. And he looks up and he sees this elderly woman coming towards him. And I'm assuming she's the woman from the previous chapters. And she's the only other human that Andrew has ever seen. So he's kind of interested in meeting her. But while it looks like she wants to tell him something, she walks away without saying anything at all. And a bunch of other stuff happens. He meets people in town. It's all mostly cozy. No big conflicts, no impending wars, no, magical enemies, nothing like that. But he is late getting home, and it's snowing, there's a storm, and he misses a turn. He and his horse. And they're close to death when an old woman finds him and his horse, rescues them, takes him into her cottage, and she also mends the horse's injured leg. And I read up to chapter 10 by this point. I still don't know what the book is about, but I learned a lot about pot mending. But I like it, and I'm going to stick with it because I like the characters, I like the world building. I'm curious to find out about, how the world works and Andrew's history. How was he adopted, who his real parents are, what this old woman's all about, what's in the vision that she saw. So lots of intriguing possibilities here, definitely enough to keep me going. All right, on to the next book. Book number 4 on today's list is Age of Secrets by Christy Nicholas, the first of 11 books in the Druid's Brooch, a historical fiction series. The other books are $1 to $6 each, but they're not in Kindle Unlimited. Emma read this for us. Emma, what did you think of the book?
I really like this one. So I don't normally read historical fantasy, but I have always enjoyed reading stuff about or in the Middle Ages, like Beowulf and things like that, and then even earlier or later. So this story is actually set in ancient Ireland in the year 500. So I was excited to get into this one. So the main character is Fingon. He is a lone, poor fisherman who lives in a cottage near a river. He doesn't remember most of his childhood, though he does recall some instances of abuse, so he kind of doesn't want to think about it too much anyway, and he spends nearly every day casting nets to catch fish to sell at the market. And Fingon, he doesn't like to go around other people anyway because he mostly stutters. His speech was nearly almost taken away from him completely because his grandmother gave him a special gift of talking to animals and then disappeared. She said that he didn't need to be able to speak to humans, just to animals, and it was kind of like a fairy gift sort of magic that she was able to practice. But now that she's gone, he has no way to fix it. So one day, Fingon tries to pull his net in. It gets caught and he's pulled into the river. So he gets out, but then he notices something across the way and he sees a dog thrashing in the river. It's close to drowning because it's exhausted. So he rushes back into the river and rescues him. He goes all the way across and he brings the dog back. The dog is injured a little bit. He gets his leg injured and he is very grateful to Fingon. And because Fingon has this gift, he is able to talk with the dog. And the dog introduces himself as Bran. Fingon takes him home, he gives him some fish, he bandages his wound, and Bran is very grateful, and he is a very good boy the entire time. So I was instantly in love with this dog, and I was excited to read more because I really wanted to see more of this dog. So the next morning, Fingon goes about his day, and now he has to deal with this very grateful and excited dog trying to help him cast nets and fish. Like, imagine a dog who's trying to like bite the net to pull on it to help reel the fish in, and he's not doing a very good job of it. But eventually, Fingon finds enough fish so he and Bran could go to market. So the whole thing was very cozy. That's how far I ended up reading. But I absolutely loved it because I especially love Bran. I thought he was doing his best and he was a very good boy. And the prose like had this very cozy feeling to it in general, and I really got sucked into the world really quick. So I think I might continue this one because I really want to see more of their adventures.
All right, and now I have another cozy fantasy on my list in case I completely run out. All right, next we're going to go on to book number 3 on today's list. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys so you can see it. Here we go. Palace of Disorder by Seeley Lynde, the first of 3 books in the Principalities, a fantasy adventure series. The other books are $6 each, and they are in Kindle Unlimited. And Emma read this for us as well. So Emma, what do you think?
I think what struck me most about this story was its premise, because in all the Free Friday reviews I've done, I've never really read a fantasy story like this one. So I was really excited for this one. It begins with Sage. She's this poor orphan worker living in a large city. So at this point, I kind of get the feeling that it's like ancient Greece or like old European type setting, but it's more technologically advanced. And also people can practice magic. So I really like this idea. Sage works as an engineer, so she primarily fixes things in and around the various aqueducts that flow underneath the city. So she's working on one job one day. Her friend is talking to her about a suitor who had recently been to her house because the friend accidentally gave the suitor a dirty plate and he just offhandedly suggested that she lick it to clean it for him, you know? So they were just sort of like going back and forth talking about how they found the suitor absolutely
Okay,
disgusting.
I have to ask about that. Like,
Yeah, it was like
why? What was he just being rude and trying to put her down, or was it a sexual fetish thing? I mean, what's going on?
it's explained in the story that this her friend gets a lot of suitors because she's attractive and her parents encourage it because all of these men are like of elevated status and they're kind of on the lower class, so that would really help out their family if she married in like a very advantageous way. But I don't know what was up with this guy. She acted like this was sort of something that happens all the time. But the two friends were just like going on about it and like, wow, this guy was a jerk, you know, like and it was an interesting beginning. But
Okay, so
when
dating has always been a problem throughout
yeah,
all of magical history. Okay.
yeah. And Sage also thinks a little bit about how she has no prospects while her friend does because she's just a poor engineer. So she finishes this job, she returns to her home, and she later wakes up to banging on her door. So she's greeted by a man who explains that she needs to come in for this job right away. She grabs her tools and she follows this man to this place that's close to the palace of the city. And along the way, Sage realizes that the man can produce light magic. So he just kind of holds out his hand and light appears. And I think this is something that's going to be very important later on. So they enter this giant amphitheater and it's slowly filling with water. It's already about maybe like ankle deep. And there's Sage, a group of other engineers. She's wondering what on earth is going on, what happened to this amphitheater, and why it's flooded. So the man directs her to this small hole and instructs her to climb into it because he explains that this is the source of the problem. He says if they can't get the flooding to stop because it's coming out of this hole, then the amphitheater is going to eventually fill, and that will eventually lead to the entire palace collapsing because they are underneath the palace of the city. So I really liked the premise of the story. I thought it was a good blend of like fantasy and technology, had a good balance of that. I also thought the prose was really engaging. I thought the world building was interesting because it seemed to derive from a ton of different elements. So I definitely recommend this one.
All right. Next, we have something completely and entirely different. This is Kill Switch by Tim Hawken. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. Okay, here. This is a standalone cyberpunk mystery novel. And Terrence read this for us, and Terrence isn't here. So, Emma, were you going to read that review or was I? I've already
You
forgot.
were going to. I was going to do number
Ah,
one.
okay, okay, got it. Okay, guys, see, this is proof we are not AI. If we were AI, we'd have higher production values. Anyway, so Terrence says that the first thing he noticed about this book was the cover. Well, no surprise. It has that grungy, edgy look of a techno thriller comic book with that VR headset on the character's head. And so that made him curious what the book is about. Terrence, for those who don't know, he occasionally stops by our Free Friday taping. He's a video game journalist. He's written a ton of video game reviews for Game Rant, and he's written a kind of a cyber futuristic novel that we will be serializing on MetaStellar in the fall. So when he talks about video games, like he knows video games. So he says that this is a cyberpunk noir thriller that deals with the darker side of virtual reality. So in this future, people live their lives in their virtual reality headsets, living out their deepest, darkest desires. And our protagonist is Detective Ada Byron, and she just got her first homicide case in Las Vegas. And it's like the last case that she wanted to do because someone is emulating the methods of a Jaslyn Switch, the woman who killed Ada's father. And Terrence says that the murder is described in very gory detail, which left him feeling squeamish, which, considering that he reviews violent video games, is probably saying something. And so he warns that if you don't like bloodshed, maybe you might want to like skip some parts or stay clear of the book. He says that Ada Byron comes off as an interesting character. She makes corny jokes at the most inappropriate times, much to the chagrin of her boss. But apart from her father's murder, we don't really learn much yet about the character, but Terrence says that he would like to. He's also very curious about the setting and the ideology of the people in this world, and particularly in the relationship between the people who live in VR and those who reject VR entirely. He says this book really hooked him, and he rarely says that. He's like very critical of books, and he says that he's actually genuinely interested in seeing where things will go. All right, so before we go on to book number 1 on today's list, as always, I want to thank our Patreon supporters. So, MetaStellar is an online magazine of science fiction and fantasy. We publish new short stories every week, and we pay authors for original fiction. And the way we pay them is through the donations of our Patreon supporters. All the money raised goes directly to the authors. All of us editors and judges and reviewers and everybody, like the dozens of people who work on MetaStellar, we all work for free. All the money goes to actual living human authors. We do not accept AI generated content. So if you want to support humans writing about human things, please join our Patreon. We would love you for that. And you can also join the channel too. We just set that up. And so again, all the money goes to the human writers. And before I forget, I want to mention that one of those writers, E.E. King, who wrote Gods and Monsters, which we serialized last year and published early this year, this book has made it to the Nebula Awards reading list. That doesn't mean it will be nominated. The finalists don't get announced until next spring. But this book is one of about a dozen books on this list. It's next to people like John Scalzi. We are so thrilled that the first book we serialized was recognized like this. And again, everybody who worked on this book was a volunteer. Thank you so much, everybody who supports this channel. That makes this possible. Oh, and the book is available for free on our website. You can read the whole thing. You can listen to E.E. King read the book to you on our YouTube channel, link down below. And you can also buy print and ebook versions of it from all major bookstores. And we are serializing a second novel, RENNA'S Crossing. Again, we're about halfway through. It's available for free on our website. And again, the author is reading it for our YouTube channel. We also have 3 anthologies of the year's best fiction. We're working on anthology number 4. Emma is spearheading that project, and Adriana is currently putting together the final touches on the interior of the book. And you can also buy mugs and like other kind of stuff from our gift shop. So, all right. Oh, and one last thing. I also have books up on Amazon. I'm redoing all the covers right now. And Emma is a book coach, and you can hire her so that she can help you with your book projects. All right. Book number 1. Book number 1 is The Surface by A.J. Scudiere, the second of 7 books in the Black Carbon sci-fi dystopian thriller series. The other books are $8 each. They're not in Kindle Unlimited, but the first book is also free today, and that book is called The Hunted. There's a link to that one down below as well. And we don't want to give anything away or spoil anything for us. So Alex read the beginning of book 1 for us. And Emma, can you tell us what you thought of the book?
So he offers a brief description of what this book is about because he doesn't want to give too much away from the first one, but he says that there are mythical beats, horror stories, life and death excitement. So the book opens, there's a woman named Jewel. She's running from a pack of hellhounds. And you get the idea that they're really good at killing people and they don't stop once they've gotten your scent. So she makes it to a house and then the dogs break in. So he says that this is some very creepy fantasy type horror. He loved the first chapter. And again, he didn't want to give too much away, so the woman is on the run from some supernatural beast. It feels like at any moment she could be torn apart. And Alex says that he was on the edge of his seat and wanted to know what happened. So I think he's going to continue with this one. He also did a review of the first one, so he's probably just gonna end up with doing the rest of the series, you know.
No, that was the review of the first one. I reran it.
Oh, you did?
Yes, because I don't want to give it because if you see her running from somebody in book two, that means that she survived book one.
That's true. Unless she
And
was
this is a
introduced in book
thriller.
two. That
So
was
I
my
just
impression.
but he was so lazy. He only read one chapter.
That
I mean,
is true.
I read 10 chapters of my book.
You really liked your book.
I really liked my book though. Yeah, I really, really did. Yeah. I had a hard time putting it down. But also I was like, okay, what's the plot? So I'm like, when's the plot gonna start?
Well, see, it's cozy fantasy as well, so it's not like it's gonna have
Yes.
plot
It's not
strictly.
exactly dense reading and the chapters are short. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Emma, for being here with me today. I hope to see you on Sunday. Oh, and I missed you yesterday. We had a project planning meeting.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's yeah. I completely forgot. So just so that shows you how well I am at project management.
Yes. All right. So, yeah, come back next Friday. We're going to be here again. And if you want to join us, if you want to review books, if you want to write science fiction and fantasy, if you want to just help us out with editorial or copy editing or all that stuff, my email address is in the description box below. I would love to hear from you. And also, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let us know about what you thought of any of these books. Or if there's anything else you'd like us to review. We're going to be like opening up this channel to do more book reviews and more author interviews. So exciting times are on their way. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks Emma for being here. And I'll put up links to Geordie Morse's book, Red Crossing, up there somewhere in the ether above us. Bye everybody.
Bye.